Hello, I'm director and curator of VB Contemporary, Vian Borchert. Very happy and pleased and delighted to share with you the In Spring art show today with a curatorial art gallery tour. We'll go through each artwork and we'll look at the artwork and the artist behind the work. But first, a bit about the exhibition in spring. VB Contemporary is delighted to present its spring season group exhibition titled In Spring with a stellar lineup of accomplished artists. The exhibition celebrates the theme of spring with all its glory: flowers, vegetation, green landscapes, floral abstractions, and flora and botanical photographs, along with themes of rebirth, are represented in varying styles and mediums. The theme touches upon the conceptual aspects and philosophies of rebirth and spring renewal. Literal depictions and abstractions are presented to illustrate the multitude of what spring entails. The artist's ideas are blooming and spring to life in this spectacular exhibit that celebrates the power of creativity mixed with the skill of artistry, encompassing a springtime exploration of the artist's renderings of nature and the environment. Consequently, a kaleidoscope of spring tapestry comes forth, embracing the varying artwork within the exhibit and welcoming the viewer to a springful journey through the arts. The exhibition brings together artists from many corners of the world, such as Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, New York City, Connecticut, New Hampshire, London, Stoke-on-Trent, Germany, and Hiroshima, Japan. The artists in the exhibition are Hermann Lederle, Kozik, Kaloidis, Margery Thomas Mueller, Victor Griffin, Vanessa Ian Pearsall, Andrew Harrison, Katsumi Ishikawa, Irfan, Ajvazi, Vian Borchert. And the exhibition started on April 16 and continues till May 31st, 2024. And the exhibition is viewable at www.vb-contemporary.com, vbcontemporary.com. Okay? Concept and curation is by Vian Borchert. We're going to now have a look at the exhibition. We're going to look at Vanessa Mitter's work. This painting is titled On Fertile Ground, Ghosts. Vanessa is a painter and a performance artist who lives and works in London. In her paintings and performances, Vanessa is interested in interrogating the history, particularly of expressionist painting and of the gesture. The making is very physical. The canvas is moved around, laid on the floor, then the wall, often remade or scored over, obliterated, and then painted over again. Often paintings are buried underneath other paintings. There's a narrative being referenced, but it is often hidden and autobiographical. Mitter uses layers of paint and collage, overlaid then with a pen and oil stick. The making is instinctive and accident-driven. This tightrope is important. The painting has its own life and leads the way. Mitter views this as a process of alchemy, a transformative process. Okay, so now we'll move on to, let's go to Victor's irises. Let's start with the irises. Okay. So these are, I'm sorry, back up a little bit. The four photographs by Victor Griffin, who's a British photographer, and these are depictions of an iris and in different a different photo depiction of an iris, like a profile of the flower, more of a close-up, more of a decayed one, and more of a budding iris. So I love his work. It's very it speaks a lot to me. And I'm gonna talk about a little bio about Victor and his statement on his work. So Victor Griffin is a British fine art flower and botanical photographer who spent his adult life until 2019 in the medical field, where he worked with medical imaging devices in technical, educational, and commercial roles. Now retired, photography has become Griffin's main focus, and Griffin's specialty is nature and flora. And Griffin says that flowers started as a project photographing flowers started as a project which turned into a whole new body of work, which now forms the main emphasis of his work. Flowers are all around us, he says, through all seasons. And although I'd never take time to spot the obvious, it dawned to him that there is a whole world of natural beauty wherever we look, if we take the time to notice it. His hope is that he can convey some of that beauty and detail in the images that he produces. And his work is definitely beautiful, and it definitely conveys the beauty of the flowers and the natural world. So wonderful work, Victor. If we have a close-up look of the irises, again, in different stages and different angles. And then we can move on to the right to see Hermann Lederle's work. Okay. So Hermann Lederle is a German artist who resides in LA, Los Angeles. And this piece is titled Banks. It's a large piece, 72 by 144 inches. And it's oil and gold leaf on canvas. So about Hermann, Hermann Lederle is a German artist residing and working in Los Angeles. The artist is known for his pixels paintings, and more recently for his series adaptation. His works have been exhibited in numerous exhibitions around the world, and his artistic production is particularly unique and recognizable. Although initially the impression is abstract, Lederle's art features geometric elements that compose as a whole figurative elements. Lederle's work represents the interaction between film and art, and his work suggests a kind of cubism for the digital age. Hermann Lederle's work has been widely exhibited in New York, in LA, in San Francisco, Germany, and France, in galleries such as Media Rare Gallery in LA, Port Gallery in New York, Lausen Galleries in San Francisco, Friedman Gannes Gallery in Heidelberg in Germany, and in private collections of Ringo Starr and Eric Stoltz. About the work, as I said, Hermann Lederle is known for his innovative, beautiful chaos, as he calls it, abstract landscape, and unique layered pixel painting, blurring the boundaries between paintscape and landscape reality. And between the paint and its intended object, the work combines geometric abstractions and pure color concept to explore a new ethereal thematic content. Through a piling of dotted lines and multitude of hyperglow colors, Lederle constructs an ordered free-floating imagery that is frozen in a still frame, with its kinetic forces relentlessly pushing up against its limits. Consequently, the outcome is an experimental composition of primal shapes and lines striving for a creative expression of artificial spaces in another dimension and direction. Thus, a new dimensional structure slowly emerges, transcending the traditional geometric shapes. And I loved Hermann's work because it spoke to me a lot because it has a lot of movement. It does have a lot of happiness. It embodies springtime, the feeling of going out to the fields, to seeing a field of flowers, and you almost feel like the flowers are singing, they're happily, they're dancing. So there's an element of joy that I see in his work, and it's very much explored through his work. So now if we go to the right, we will see a number of works by, we go back up a little bit, so we can see the work of Lee Kaloidis. We see 4 paintings by Lee Kaloidis, who's an artist who lives in New York. And I will start this one. The first one to the left is called Bomb Cyclone. And the paintings are oil on canvas. And Lee was born in Philadelphia and to an American mother and a Greek father. Within a year, the family was transplanted to South Florida, where his mother was an art teacher. And at 7, Lee began playing trumpet and was playing professionally and studying with the local pros in his teens. He attended the University of Miami School of Music with a focus on jazz studies. Eventually, Lee would move to New York, transition from trumpet to poetry. Lee is also a poet, and spend all of his time with literature. In the 1990s, poetry, trumpet, and the visual art began to fuse via intense interest in creativity of the mind. In the 2000s, the visual world overtook poetry and music, and Lee worked almost exclusively with paint. Though he writes poetry and plays jazz trumpet to this day, Lee has been a professional working artist since the past 20 years, and his work can be found all over the globe. His main collector is a Norwegian Holdings cruise. A documentary film was recently filmed in Lee's studio in New York in March 2024 and is due to be released soon about Lee's art for the Norwegian collection. So stay tuned for that. So Lee says that his paintings, my paintings are a direct byproduct of intense involvement with improvisational music and free verse poetic composition. They are about expressive freedom, dramatic and evolutionary movement, balance and integrity, and ultimately about natural order. I like to think of my paintings as places where the most divergent and unexpected things collide, converging at just the right time into articulate realizations of new compositional possibilities. I don't know what I'm going to do in the beginning, Lee says. Sometimes I try to get out in front by forcefully saying things, but that's always wrong. You can't discover what you already know. You can't see what doesn't exist yet. What's best is to get your head right in the beginning, then do something and respond to that honestly and deeply and with all the love you can muster over and over till you're done. I love what Lee says about his work and his creative process. And you can read more about Lee when you go within our website, which is vbcontemporary.com, and you click on each painting to have a better look at the wonderful work that Lee has, and you have the information on each painting, along with the description and the artist statement of Lee. So we can move on to the right. So let's look at Ian's work. Let's look at Ian's work. Look at this one. So Ian Pearsall is an artist who I love his work. It speaks to me a lot. It's done with ink, and he's an artist based in the UK, and this piece is called Hedgerow Down to the Farm, and it's ink. So about Ian Pearsall was born in Salisbury, Rhodesia, to parents from Stoke-on-Trent, England. His family lived in Malawi when he was a child, and when Ian was a teen, he moved back to the UK. With studies in art education at Newcastle-under-Lyme College and Nottingham Polytechnique, Pearsall also has a degree also in design as well. Yet he primarily identifies as an artist. Pearsall's foremost inspiration is the post-industrial landscape, along with the streets of Stoke-on-Trent, where he traces his roots and family history through his drawings and through his paintings. After a move to the English countryside, the Staffordshire, Pearsall painted the landscape that surrounds his residence in Mar Village. Seeing the seasonal changes, according to Pearsall, gripped his imagination, imposing itself over farmlands, rolling undulation, and most excitingly, forests, an extraordinary place steeped in the dark history of ancient Britain and soaked in myth and mystery. Ian says, "My work is always the journey." more of what Ian says on his work. He said, my walks took me over to the Mar Hills, and what has emerged is a series of ink drawings that capture the riches of nature, colors, and shapes, deep earth colors, trees, and the marks of human presence through the farming of this landscape have become driving motifs in my work, and I'm excited to showcase them in my artwork. My passion for the exploration of a widely variable array of materials has always been inextricably linked to my explorations of instinctual subject matter. There is an instinctive truth in my choices of material to the subjects I explore. My work must speak for me. And I love what he ended with. My work must speak for me, and it does. His work truly does speak. And again, also with Ian's work, you do see a celebration of nature, a celebration of the love of one's surroundings and the one's environment. You almost feel like the flowers are like literally dancing in this example. And there's so much movement and joy along also the medium itself at its best. His is a master in the ink medium. So I'm happy to have Ian as part of this in spring exhibition. Now, if we go up, we're going to look at Andrew. Just go up. Andrew Harrison's work. So we have flowers. And also, if you look to the left a little bit, if you go to the left, and this one to the left, go up a little bit. Cactus also. So we have two photos by Andrew Harrison, who's also a British artist, photographer. And we're going to look at, if we look at the cactus, so if we look at the cactus, which I love this piece is so simple, but it has so much character, and it almost has also a sense of humor as well. That's what I like about this. And all the photographs in the show, we have 3 photographers in the show. Each is so different. Each is has such a unique style, but you feel that their identity and their character almost comes through the artwork. So if we look at this piece, it's really the hairy cacti and about Andrew. So Andrew is an accomplished photographer born in rural Norfolk, UK, England. Harrison started his photographic journey 40 years ago and worked as a commercial photographer both in the UK and internationally for many years in the fields of design and other. Harrison worked on film and all formats from 35 millimeter to large format 5x4. Studio still life has always been Andrew Harrison's passion. In the late 1980s, Harrison also lectured on photography, such as the City and Guild photography course. So Andrew says about his work, for too many years, he worked as a commercial photographer. The images where the images all sought perfection. The products were polished, food was styled, and models unblemished. Even though retouching was still a manual process back then, involving airbrushes and skilled graphic artists, there was little reality in the finished images. Now it is time for me to make images and supply them as limited editions. These objects, people, and places, with their patina and life carried proudly, are in line with the ancient Japanese concept of wabi-sabi. So wabi-sabi is the Japanese concept that impermanence and imperfection are integral and even beautiful parts of life. Harrison says, my photographic still life series are a personal exploration and celebration of the beauty found within the everyday objects. I aim to transform ordinary objects into captivating subjects that evoke emotions, provoke thoughts, and invite viewers to see the world from a different perspective. Each still life photograph tells a unique story, showing the interplay of color, texture, and form. Through my lens, I seek to uncover the hidden narrative and symbolic meanings within the objects. I hope to inspire viewers to pause, reflect, and find beauty in the seemingly mundane. By highlighting the poetry found in everyday objects, my goal is to evoke a sense of wonder, encouraging viewers to see the extraordinary in the ordinary and appreciate the inherent beauty present in the world around them. I see the potential for images all around me all the time in objects and in nature. Beautiful statement. And again, very unique work and very raw in a sense. It really gives you a focus on what you need to look at. And here we have 4 Narcissus Flowers by Andrew Harrison. Now, if we go to the right, we go back to Vanessa's. And again, this piece is titled On Fertile Grounds, Ghost. Now, if we go to the right, you'll see my work, Vian Borchert. We have 2 landscapes, more abstracted landscapes, and a bit about myself. Besides being the director and curator of VB Contemporary, I've created and juried multiple exhibits within in the DC area and beyond. And I'm an established expressionist artist who has exhibited solo and group exhibitions within the US and also internationally as well in museums such as the Sam Museum in Pennsylvania, the National Liberty Museum in Philadelphia, the Medinaceli Lady Art Musée Contemporaire in Spain. And I'm a notable alumni from the Corcoran George Washington University. And my art has been featured in press and multiple publications. I'm also an art educator, and I'm also the art lead of the Oxford Public Philosophy Journal, which is also open for submissions for artists. About the work, so Wildflowers is the piece to the left, and Wildflower presents an abstract green rendition of a floral landscape depicting a beautiful green landscape filled with wildflowers. I describe my art as a form of visual poetry, aiming for this floral landscape to evoke the idea of romance while remaining engaging and contemporary. So Wildflowers capture the romantic fields while the nature depicted emerges to tell stories of faraway lands. With this, my intent is to create a meaningful work that celebrates my love for nature and the environment, along with nature's importance in our lives. So I'm an avid nature lover. Most of my work is abstracted, but based on the natural form and my surroundings. And some of it is based also on my childhood and also my dreams and aspirations. The other piece, the green piece to the right, is titled A Sea of Flora. I'm also a lover of the sea. I've done a lot of blue, known for my blue abstract seascapes. This one is more of a sea of flora, which is, again, a rendition of a floral landscape depicting also wildflowers, which I love very much, and also aiming for the work to emphasize my love for the environment around me and the importance of nature in one's lives. So we're going to move on to Margery Thomas Mueller's work, which is to the right. Yes, we have 2 works by Margery, and this one is titled, the small one is titled Outside the Window. So, and the other big one, we'll look at the big one, is called Reimagine. So Margery Thomas Mueller is an American artist who lives in Connecticut, and she's a practicing artist living in actually New Hampshire, and she has studied painting at CMU, the art student, and also the art student leagues, and the Accademia di Belle Arti. She made a career as an interior designer for 40 years, And around 11 years ago, she became a full-time practicing painter, artist, and finally achieved and has had her work shown internationally and nationally as well within the US. Margery has won several awards in New York and in Boston, and her work has been collected in the US and in Europe. All her work is created on Yopo paper with watercolor and also a variety of mixed media. So in her statement, Margery states that liminal space, Margery says, liminal space, the world in between a world I live and a world I listen to, that has always been what has driven my imagery. Edna St. Vincent Millay's poem, Renaissance, the place in between life state of being and how we treat the other, has been an internal focus. In recent years, finally being able to work in my studio full time, the connection has become deeper and stronger. Investing time in understanding the trivials of the other has consumed my emotions and driven my imagery. Watching the world move from continent to continent, seeing humanity being uprooted as they seek a solid resting place, makes my landscape evolve. The branches, the thickets, the thorns reveal the human tales. As I work on Yupo paper, an unstable ground in itself, the moving ink and moving graphite speak to those emotions, knowing that I can erase the entire picture plane and with strokes of water and ammonia relates to what is happening in the human landscape as it transforms. Liminal space is the space in between knowing, owning, being connected, and permanent, and into a space that is flux, that is in flux, where life is unknown, and landscape where only the ground is stable. My work starts with a basic composition, a layout, and then the medium leads me through the fluid reaction. I listen to the ink as we listen to the land. Beautiful statement by Margery, and beautiful work. And we see the transient feelings and emotions as well through the flowers and through their movement, and also that things are not permanent. Which is a very good understanding of many things in life. Okay, now we'll have a look also at the other piece that Margery has, which is titled Outside the Window. Beautiful piece, beautiful work by Margery. So now we're gonna look at KK Kozik's work. Okay. Bluebirds. Okay, so this is a piece, if you get closer to K's work, which is oil on linen, and it's titled Bluebirds. So Kozik's work has been widely exhibited in the United States and abroad, and has been reviewed in publications such as the New York Times, New Yorker, Art Forum, Art in America, Art News, Boston Globe, as well as in many others. Kozik's public commission include the Rockaway Beach Park subway station for the New York Transit Authority, Fitchburg State University, and the Weir Farm National Historic Site. She has received numerous awards, including in Connecticut State Artist Fellowship, first prize in the New Britain Museum of American Art, the annual Survey Nor'easter, the Pickett Prize from the Albany Institute of History and Art, and a Mary Walsh Sharp Fellowship. She lives and works in Sharon, Connecticut, and Brooklyn, New York. And Kozik's statement about her art, she states, as to me, she states, wrote poet Walt Whitman in 1881, I know of nothing else but miracles. Whitman goes on to list some very ordinary phenomena as miracles, from stars shining quiet and bright, to standing under trees in a wood, to observing birds in flight. I've been looking for a way to put into words what links these new paintings together, and I relate to Whitman's words. The vein of American mysticism linking the natural world with the spiritual has found form in artists as disparate as Rockwell Kent, Agnes Pelton, and me, artists who process what they see, what they experience, and also what they imagine into a painted image. My modern miracles mostly surface from the rhythms of my day, strolls and hikes and swims, root me in my local landscape and put beauty in my way. My images are the meeting in the middle of the everyday world, and the way my imagination processes it, and my hand executes it. So beautiful work, very dreamlike by Kozik. And I just love the birds, the bluebirds, and the interaction with the figure in the artwork and how they fly within the trees. A beautiful depiction, again, a dreamlike depiction, very enchanting work by Kozik. Now, if we go to the right, we will see Irfan Ajvazi's work. Irfan is an artist based in Germany, and this work is titled Reading, and is acrylic on paper. Irfan Ajvazi is a visual artist, and he also does sculpture, and he's a draftsman, photographer, and also printmaker. He's based in Friedrichshafen, Germany. He works in the field of painting, sculpture, drawing, and new media. His artwork can be described as minimalist and intimate, as he investigates the concept of presence, which is really beautiful concepts to explore. Ajvazi states that I take snapshots, he says, without looking for a special photo. I photograph motif of a figure that catches my eye and interests me. When I paint a picture, it is then that I compose. I find a figure interesting and search for something that goes together with it. At the end, the work is put together from different sources. Things that have influenced me are film, commercials, media, and in general, art history. So beautiful work by Ajvazi. And now we look at the work of Katsumi Ishikawa. Let's look at the piece next to it, this one. So we have three floral photographs a little bit further out. Beautiful work, very much taken by the beauty in Katsumi's work, and it's really it really speaks to me. There's something mysterious and beautiful and shy and just very also very intimate about how she approaches the taking photos of flowers and Japanese flowers and the flowers around her in where she lives in Hiroshima, Japan. So about Katsumi is the Japanese photographer who resides and works in Hiroshima, Japan. Albeit Katsumi works by day, yet she dedicates much of her time to her love for the art of photography and to capturing the beauty of the nature around her, such as the magnificence and fragility of Japanese flowers, along with trees like cherry blossoms. In her photos, she captures the exquisiteness of the soft, delicate petals of the Japanese flora. She has been a photographer for 8 years. Katsumi uses a macro lens, Nikon D850, to bring attention to the flower stamens and the leaves that protect the flowers. So this piece is a mysteriously shaped white flower from Nigella japonica species and is grown in the southwest of Asia, along with Western Asia and Southern Europe as well. This flower has a white purplish petals and which has thread-like leaves, and which all contribute to the mystery of the flower. And Katsumi has captured this beautifully in her work. And the one next to it is called Ishikawa, which is a purple flower. And that flower is native to Japan. And it depicts the analogy of fleeting affections. So one can really almost feel the intimacy and the personal there's almost a personal narrative between the viewer and these beautiful photographs. Well, this is our in-spring art show. I hope you have enjoyed the curatorial gallery tour of the wonderful works we have from varying artists from all over the world. You can go to vbcontemporary.com and you can see the exhibit there, and you can focus on each artwork and each artist's work. And so it's at www.vb-contemporary.com. Thank you.